morning. This is Francesco Abbruzzino with the Venice Scoop, bringing you the latest news for Venice, Northport, and Englewood. Today is December 3rd, and it is a Tuesday. We have a few things in the news today. First, we're going to start with the county, but just one thing first. I did do another adjustment with the microphone, so let's see if that works. Also, in this newscast, I'm trying a mixture of. Yesterday I did a lot of web, some Facebook. This time I'm going to try a mixture of Facebook, web, and myself. Hopefully it'll be pretty good. I've noticed the newscast is starting to grow. I think we were over 200 yesterday, which is a nice thing. Hopefully everybody's getting a lot out of it. So let's go ahead and cover the county story first, which is covering first revolves around Warm Mineral Springs. Okay, we're going to start off going to an article or an interview by Isabel with WTSB. She contacted me yesterday and told me that she had put this out there. It basically covers the Warm Mineral Springs rally, the decision from the city council. It's a workshop, so they really couldn't vote, and the direction they need to go in. How does this impact us as a county? Well, the county put out, let me see, I think it was roughly about $2 million to purchase the property, maybe more. I think the total was $5 million, and that was the city of Northport and the county purchasing it together. So now these two government entities have to come together. Isabel does a great job of covering it, so let's see what she has to say on this subject.
For 75 years.
Site. And some say the spring water heals. It is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, one that has been closed since July 1st. 10 News Sarasota newsroom reporter Isabel Mascareñas is there when a group of local residents take to City Hall to reopen the spring.
We open our spring.
About 50 protesters appear in front of Northport City Hall, hoping to change some commissioners' minds and reopen Warm Mineral Springs. It's been closed for 5 months.
You're killing the city, you're killing businesses here.
Me and many other people moved here because of the lake.
The only warm mineral springs in Florida attracts many Europeans and Canadians. Sarasota County and the city of Northport bought the springs in 2010 for $5.5 million and have not been able to agree on a plan to keep it open and profitable. Northport residents say they have an idea.
Just open the lake for swimming as soon as possible.
The cost to reopen for swimming only, between $700,000 to $1 million a year, an idea tossed around before and rejected, at least until today. Northport City Commissioners will draft a letter to the county suggesting they continue looking for a long-term plan with a short-term option.
When the blame is ours, it's us as a team, both teams together. It's our fault that the Springs isn't open. It should have been open 3 years ago.
Mayor Jim Blucher says there's been a lot of finger-pointing between city and county leaders during negotiations due to a lack of trust. How do you repair the trust between city commissioners and county commissioners, between the two governing bodies?
You do the right thing. You do it. You talk clearly. You stop pointing fingers on both sides.
If both Northport and Sarasota County commissioners agree to reopen Warm Mineral Springs for swimming only, while a long-term solution is finalized, it won't be happening anytime soon. The process could take anywhere from 4 to 6 months. In Northport, Isabel Mascareñas, 10 News.
Okay, we're back. That was a great interview by Isabel on the Warm Mineral Springs situation. On another county-related issue, we have the beach smoking ban fizzles. And this has been something of controversy. It came up, I think, a week or two ago when I was out smoking a cigar. I have an occasional cigar, and I like to have it out at the jetty if it's cool weather. And I think, from what I was told, and you guys may or may not believe this, I try not to read any of the threads because I'm trying not to inject my own opinions into it. I was told that several people were in there and were slamming me for smoking because it says clearly no smoking, which it does. It clearly states that. Here's the problem. Earlier in the year, the government came out and said, look, to the county, you can't have this ban. You can't legally support it. It's got to go. And it went to the wayside, and they scrapped it. They tried to bring something up, and that failed, and now they've done it again in Tallahassee where they've brought up a bill. Here's the problem. You're still going to be able to smoke there. Basically, the new bill Under it, Sarasota County would be unable to reimpose a smoking ban on its beaches and parks under the legislation that the state lawmakers will consider early next year. So you will still continue to smoke. Now, does that mean you should smoke if there's a little kid sitting right in front of you? No. Be polite to the others. When I'm out smoking, I'm on the rocks, I'm hanging out with my buddies. Usually the only time I smoke down there is when there's surfing. It's a bunch of us just hanging out. So try to be polite. Don't throw your butt on the floor, on the ground. And the same goes with anything else you do at the beach. Okay? And that's in regards to the beach. Now, this one, I consider Osprey the outskirts of Venice, so we're going to cover it as a Venice story. It's somewhat a county. This is a story that everybody, I hope, will listen to, and if you have any information, report it. This originally came from WWSB. Actually, originally came from a station out of Tampa, then WWSB, and then the Herald picked it up. Around 3 o'clock yesterday, a girl was dropped off at the bus stop near Church and 41 in Osprey. She started walking home, and when she got near Washington and Oak Street, she reported that an elderly man, tried pulling her into a wooded ditch and attempted to sexually batter her. She punched and scratched the guy and fled. She said the guy was older. He was driving a red pickup truck with a dent near the right window. He's described as having gray hair and balding. He's about 5'4", 180 pounds, and wearing a gray t-shirt and plaid boxer shorts. If you have any information regarding this individual, they ask you to please contact the authorities. And kudos to this young lady. Hopefully all of us are teaching her. I had to talk with my daughters, teaching them that, hey, if anything happens, this is what you do. This lady did the right thing. She kicked, punched, scratched, and ran for her life. And hopefully, thankfully to that, she's safe today. All right, so next, another Venice story. This is on the circus arena. I didn't see anything where the government put this out, and I didn't see where Save the Circus said anything about it. I know they had some negative words towards the council last week, and I'm assuming it came from this letter, which was dated on November 25th. Basically, the National Historic Registry came out and said, hey, look, we're not going to support you guys getting a designation as a historical site for the circus. Problem is, you tore down all the buildings. You tore down all the history. So we're not going to do it. Now, question, why did the city tear it down? The city tore it down because it was unsafe. The zoning came in and said, look, we got an unsafe situation, and the city's going to be held accountable. So the city looked at the different options, and they came through and destroyed or tore down most of it. They left the steel frames up on the one maiden piece because it would cost about I think the dollar amount was $500,000 to tear that down. I think their thought is, hey, we'll put that on the developer to take care of. Now, what are they doing with the property? Well, they got the letter of intent that they're going to discuss at next week's meeting. Basically, that they're going to put out and ask developers to come up with some kind of conceptual idea. They want it to revolve around the history of the circus or somehow involve it in there, which is fine, but you're going to limit some of the developers, I think. The other thing is, you got that museum. They're doing the $6 million upgrade, and part of that upgrade is to have one of their 13 sections dedicated towards the circus and the rich history that it has brought to Venice. So if you have that in there, do you really need anything else, is the question. I know the Save the Circus crew won't be a fan of this, but hey, look, basically the circus is gone, and there's not much more we can do about it. Next to another story, this is something Melissa put out there. She was on her way home from the hospital last night. Saw the craziest thing. I guess on Center Road, she saw a helicopter and police lights flashing. She said several, I'm assuming sheriff's officers out there, had guns drawn and a person down on the ground with stuff coming out of their mouth. She was scared and concerned that the road wasn't closed off. I'm assuming the road wasn't closed off because the situation was under control and they were worried more about getting this guy down. I'm assuming if their guns were drawn, that it was a serious situation. They wanted to focus more on that. A lot of people have questioned her on it. She wrote me back and said, hey, look, I'm telling you the truth. Everything that happened. So that remains to be seen. Some people have said they did see stuff like that occurring last night. So I'm trying to find out what the real story is on it. If I see anything, I'll let you know. Our next story involves Sally Hill. She does a podcast out of her house, and it's broadcasted on WMOA 1490 AM in West Virginia. She lives over in Nokomis, and she's 93, I believe, and she's got a radio show that's basically out there giving ideas, giving information out to people that revolves around being 80 plus, 90 plus. She said a lot of the baby boomers, which are the 60, 70-year-olds, get most of the information that's out there on the radio shows, and she wanted to put out more information. This individual has a long history throughout her years in the entertainment industry, and she's out there making it happen. So kudos to Sally Hill and her radio show. Next, our news brings us over to a story that I covered yesterday that Josh Taylor did with WWSB, and it's covering Venice, how it's one of the oldest non-planned retirement communities in the country. It's been getting a lot of attention in the last couple of days. I tried to find the video so I could play it for you guys, and I was unable to. It's an interesting story, something that I think many of us live here that live here already know about. You know, that's one of the quagmires I'm in. I'm 47, and by the time my kids graduate high school, I'll be in my 50s. At that point, do we want to move somewhere else, or are we going to be in the area where we're going to want to live when we are obviously older? So right now we're renting until we can determine that, my wife and I, because we just are not sure whatsoever. Now the next story brings up, and that's it for Venice. This next story is out of Englewood, and it's on a car accident that occurred yesterday, and it involves Deputy Brian Vandermiller for rescuing a man from a fiery crash early Sunday morning. He spotted the car engulfed in flames as he patrolled Pine Street near in Englewood, just south of River Road. He pulled the unresponsive driver out of the car and saved his life. The man was not seriously injured, but which is surprising. You look at this car here, and they're saying he wasn't seriously injured, but that's quite the mess. But kudos to that deputy for saving the gentleman's life. And then back over to Northport. Northport is where the things are happening. We already covered about Warm Mineral Springs and the rally they had yesterday. I heard on two different numbers that showed up there, once at 50, and that may have been the rally part, and 100 people were actually in the council meeting. And basically they're coming out with, maybe we'll just open the swimming portion of it first, but that, even with that, there's a price tag of $700,000. Bottom line is the Northport citizens, the residents, the county residents of Sarasota were on the line for $5 million. So do we leave the property sitting there, or do we do something, which was the original intent when the county and city residents decided to put out that money? Sorry, I got going on a little I got it going on that one a little bit, when I should have been here with the Spirit Showcase Benefit Squads. This is a cheerleading. I put it out yesterday with Northport. They showcased their talent and gave valuable tips in future performances. Their inaugural showcase was on November 23rd. Right now they're trying to raise enough money so that they can go to an event in Orlando. And let's see, the event, I can't call it, but it's a huge event. They're trying to raise money to get up there for the showcase. Here it is. Instead of a registration fee, cheer squads brought canned goods were to be donated to a local food bank. Family and friends paid in admission fee to watch the showcase. Proceeds went towards the Orlando trip. So a win-win. They're getting money for their Orlando trip, and they were collecting food for the needy. So that's some great news there. How about this one? Where is it? This one here, I'm sorry. This young lady, Rachel, I believe is her name. Yes, Rachel from 7th grade at Huron Creek. The Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles invited submissions from students grades 6th to 8th on their Click It, Don't Skip It campaign. And this is what the drawing she came up with, and it won. So there's some other ones down at the bottom there. So kudos to Rachel. Okay, so that's it for the news today. So let's go over to the weather maps with John Scalzi and WWSB. Okay, here we are. As you can see with the weather, there's no rain in sight, and they don't plan on us getting any rain anytime soon. John Scalzi says it's going to be 76 today with 80s for the next few days after that, and low in the 60s. Today the winds are out of the southeast at 5 to 10 knots and 2-foot seas. There is a slight front coming through, but minimal impact, and that dry air will cover us with and prevent any future rain. So it looks like we're in for a great week of weather, folks. Okay, now over to sports. Didn't see much happening. We did have an article on wrestling with Northport, and they have a quote that I put on the page yesterday from Dan Kelly, who just basically come out and said that Northport team is just loaded. They have some great wrestlers. They go from Alejandro Torres at 112, John Cruz at 132, Dakota Flennard, Anthony Tripek, Chris Fritz, David Towers, Marcus Kirkland, Jake Bennett, and Dan Kelly's the coach of Venice. But that's the Northport team, and I guess all these guys are just leaders on the wrestling arena for their specific weight class. Venice is no slouch either. They have 3 state qualifiers returning this year. That's Zach Kelly at 120 pounds, Bo Williams at 126, and CJ Trammell at 152 pounds. So some great wrestling information. I myself love wrestling because, yes, you guessed it, I was on wrestling for a little bit with VHS. I know the pictures out there floating around somewhere. I was about a scrawny 120 pounds back then. Many years ago, and I was a lot younger and a lot more energy than this old guy has now. So that's it for the sports. Now over to events. We have a few events set up that I posted yesterday on the Northport and Venice pages. One is the Venice Museum Archives. That's the place I told you was going to have the 13 sections and put out to $6 million. Is decked out for holidays for the 2nd annual Designer Holiday Showcase. Interior designers, decorators, and home decor businesses from Venice are invited to participate. The VMA will have an open house on December 14th from 5 to 7, and that coincides with the Venice Area Beautification Holiday Tree Lighting at West Blaylock Park. Again, you guys, holiday tree lighting, and I'm hitting this again, and I think it's great that they want to be politically correct, but come on. Holiday tree lighting, and you're lighting up the trees. There's more emphasis that it's a Christmas tree. You don't see the tree in Kwanzaa or in Hanukkah, and this goes along with my rant yesterday about the parade. You know, why are you going to put holiday parade and then have a float that you're going to say happy holiday on the truck and then have a float that has this Christmas icons on it? Let's call it what it is. It's all right to go out there, you know, during Kwanzaa and say happy Kwanzaa to people that are celebrating Kwanzaa. If I go out to, I have many Jewish friends. One of my wife's best friends is Jewish, and I'll go out there and say Happy Hanukkah to her. I don't need to say Happy Holidays to her. That's the Abbruzzino rant for the day. Another event is Northport Atwater School will hold its 4th annual Winter Carnival from 11 to 4 this Saturday. A few things happening. Northport has that this Saturday. We have the boat parade. We have the Meet Santa at the YMCA. So this Saturday, a lot of Christmas stuff happening. Atwater is located at 4701 Huntsville Avenue. Like I said, it's 11 to 4, and it's this weekend. They'll have bounce houses, obstacle courses, food, ice cream, and vendors. This one's another Northport one. This is Northport High School Chorus. They're going to perform on Thursday the 6th at Community United Church of Christ, Tuesday the 10th at South Biscayne Church, and Friday the 13th at St. Paul's Presbyterian Church. They're going to do their Christmas cabaret in the Candle Glow. So good things happening there in Northport and the events taking place. That's it for events. Now, roadworks, you still got that River Road mess, and I think I put up a sign yesterday that's had a spelling error on it that somebody caught, and they found some humor with it. So if you're going that way, take some extra time. I think somebody said just to travel that roadway, which should take maybe 5-10 minutes, took 40 minutes yesterday. So be cognizant of that on your way to any appointments, work, school, anything of that matter. For Francesco Abbruzzino, and this is Venice Scoop. I need to change it because I'm covering Venice, Northport, and Englewood. So the scoop on the news. And there's my ending note. I'll see you. Francesco Abbruzzino. Ciao tutti.